Hello from the road. I hope everything's going your way, and I hope everything is great. Let me first by saying I'm sorry about the audio quality, but I really don't care either. If you want to hear what I have to say, you'll hear it. If not, turn it off. I gain about as many followers as I lose, because people are like leaves. Leaves fall off of trees and new leaves take their place. So look here. I was thinking, because for some reason this creature called human fascinates me beyond anything else. And I'm very interested in people. And so I was listening to people about the student loan epidemic we've got going on, and it made me think. And I was also listening about like the pissing match that Donald Trump is having with China in the tariff war or the tariff disagreement or whatever, the trade war deal here. All right, so listen. I think that blew up in his face, and it made me think that, in a hypothetical situation that, say, America had to get into a real war with an actual real threat. All right, I'm talking about World War II type war. All right. And I thought, for one, people in America, they're aggressive. Their body carries their spirit around and drags it through hell and all kinds of other mess. But they're not really like warrior type, right? They're not going to go to another country and stomp their foot and demand to speak to the manager and yell nasty things at an actual threat. And it does anything. No, you actually have to have the skill of like fighting. All right. You have to have you have to have a mental state that can tolerate what has to happen in a war zone. It's not fun. It's probably asking. I've never been, but when I hear about it, red flag. Why the hell would you want to end up there? All right. It's blood everywhere, bombs exploding, loud noises, violence, death, killing, all manner of awful, the awful human experience on display in real time in one of those places. All right. So with that said, America can't really get into a fight with soldiers. We can drop some bombs. We can use military hardware and all of those things to try and fight. But wars are always won, as they say, boots on the ground, at least as far as we know, and it's also lost sometimes regardless of that, Intellectuals like to account for resources and try to do numbers, but they cannot measure willpower. They cannot measure desire. They cannot measure how bad does someone want to win and how much does someone not care, and they can't measure these kinds of things because they're intellectuals, not because it's not possible if you have experience and the feel for it, but because intellectuals are like engineers. They're blinded by ego because they figured out at some point they had a gift and it turned into a curse. They figured out that they had a little bit more of a kick in their brain than most people do, and that means that they can do all kinds of impressive intellect-based things, processing things, math, all planning, things of that nature, and their ego blinds them, which is a problem in America. We got a big old egotistical pandemic we're not even talking about, okay? Everybody suffers from ego. Right now, people on the internet, at least, and a little bit in the mainstream, are yakking about, what the typical thing. black people this, white people that, race this and that. But listen to me. Listen to me. Everybody's suffering from the same thing if you understand what it is. It's ego. All right? Anytime you strap an identity on, you have an ego. And that ego, you start to try to... that haven't figured out that... Sorry if we got disconnected. I think around the point I got disconnected because it just reconnected. Sorry about that. You know, I live out here in Alabama, and there's some parts of Alabama that haven't figured out that cell phones exist and that you need reliable signals to use them. But anyways, look, right now we got an issue in America, and it's an ego pandemic. All right, it's something nobody's really talking about because nobody really knows about it in America, by and large. And what is the ego problem? Right now in the mainstream and on the internet, thousands of people, so a lot of them are bots to keep people screwing with the social media platforms. But they're going, white people this, black people that, race this and that. And it ain't none of that. It ain't because somebody's born a certain way. It's the ego. People have identified themselves to something. And when you do that, regardless if it's racial or it's a career or it's a position or whatever, you will start to try and do all kinds of outlandish things to enforce that and defend it even with your life. And you try to take other people's life because the ego owns you. And it's rampant in everybody until they become aware of it and they can begin to work to change it. And some people get to the awareness part and then they replace it with another one. They replace it with the ego again. We're here to throw a monkey wrench in the whole mechanical scheme of ego. But back to my original point is that we can't, America, at least, I don't know about anybody else, but I know America can't fight another war with boots on the ground, and this is why. Without looking at the statistics, I imagine that America gave student loan debt to the majority of fighting-aged Americans. Now, what does that have to do with it? I'm going to tell you why. Because America used that as an investment that was supposed to pay off. They convinced all the kids through the public school machine. They got the counselors, the teachers, everybody to push the idea. Go to college. You need it. You can't do anything without that college. Get them student loan debts. Well, guess what? If you send your investment off to a war zone, and most of them will die. Your investment just got set on fire, didn't it? You will never collect on it. Goodbye, investment. Goodbye. Not to mention, the investment really shouldn't have been the money. It should have been the people who would be the future of this country. But the government, the people who make it and actually run it, they don't really believe that. They don't really believe in all those things that make a country worth living in. They don't believe that the people actually are the country. They believe that it's just, in this country, they believe that this place is just a taxation zone or an economic zone and an enrichment place for them. And selfishness runs deep even through the people of this land. And so, you know, I'm not one of those that believe the government is a reflection of the people. I believe that's rigged. All right, if you vote and you win, they're not going to do anything that you voted for. They're going to do what was planned all along. It's going to keep on going. It's rigged. Even if your guy wins, it's rigged. And look at Alabama. Right now they signed House Bill 445. We voted as a state to legalize medical marijuana. We voted for that, and these criminals demonstrate why it's rigged regardless of who you vote for, because they passed HB 445 like a week or two ago, whatever. They signed it into law. Out of many things it says this. It basically nullifies and voids the vote on medical marijuana. That's over with now, ladies and gentlemen, and it makes sense. That was the plan the whole time, because they didn't implement it. They didn't make plans to make it a thing. Instead, they all fought over it. They threw it in courts. That's the point, though. Guys, this democracy is rigged. That's why the population is getting smaller and it's getting harder to live, because if you can barely support yourself, you're not about to make a family. You're not about to pass your values on to somebody who can potentially vote, and they can make friends with their community, and they can become a real community, and they can vote for their interest, because the world is about to change. I don't know, not to mention the government backed the student loans on this one. The student loans are an investment. Well, people can't pay them back if they ain't got no job and they ain't got no money. If the corporations who are able to cut things off their taxes and have tax breaks and all these things, they getting rid of the job. We are subsidizing with our taxes someone to just kill all the jobs that you. How are you going to pay? The government has no clue how to be rulers. They have no clue how anything works. They just walk around blindfolded. Well, fine. Because if you walk around blind, you get to fall in a hole at some point. You trip, you get hurt. You got to learn how not to fall in the hole, government. If you're going to be the leaders and the rulers, you've got to learn how to do that correctly, or it's not going to work. Sorry. You can think that you can hold the metaphysical concept. Well, this country is the greatest. It's magic. Guess what? It's not gonna work out for you that way. You actually have to have skill and know how to do things. These people, what I understand is most politicians are lawyers, right? Well, if you have people who are just literally ripping folks off in society, not that they aren't, I don't know what they do. But I know this, if you, for an example, very radical, outlandish example, if you have a person walking around a town and they're stealing everything in sight, the lawyers are going to have to come up with a 1,000-page document to say you can't do what you're doing, because for some reason they can't describe human behavior, or they choose not to for some reason. They can't figure out how to stop a thief with a pen. And the pen enables the stopping of the thief, make no mistake, but it still takes an action. It's kind of half and half deal. That's the point. We've got people running the country, and they don't really. Just because it's an intellectual, do not make a mistake and think that person is intelligent or smart. Because a lot of times they lack practical experience that will help them to use what they know. They lack it. It's not there. And thus, you get cars that look like jigsaw puzzles under the hood. You get buildings that are held together with glue and paper. Everything gets worse because they know what a book told them. They never got out there and swung a hammer. They never turned a wrench. And I'm telling you this too. I'm not just going to attack them. I'm going to tell you the other side. The people who are swinging the hammers and the wrenches, at one point, those people were skilled and they had the knowledge and the know-how and they knew. Now people just hold a hammer and can swing it. They don't know what a nail. They don't know the difference between nails. They don't know what those nails are made of. And it extends in its own ways across all trades. They don't know all these technical aspects and details that they should know. But that's the point. America cannot, we went a little far off there, but that's okay. I got to give y'all something to listen to. But America can't get into another fight right now, at least, with boots on the ground. America invested money. That's what they see as the investment, which is why they fail. Because if you saw the people as the investment, the way you govern and the way you rule would change. But you see the money, and you think money just is like a seed. You plant it and it grows, and in some ways it does, but people who are good gardeners understand what make that seed grow. You put money into people, And don't, the corporations are whispering in their ears at all times. This is the deal. If there's no way for these people to make enough money to pay those student loans back, you might as well just say, crap, I just learned something, and you might as well just forgive it all, because they're never going to give it back to you. What are you going to do? Say, I won't give you Social Security. What are they going to do with $500 to $1,500 a month in this country anywhere? What are they going to do? Do you know how much it costs to rent something, to buy property? Do you know all these things? That you are a paper tiger because your threats are meaningless. You say, I won't give you your $1,500 a month Social Security when you're old and desperate. When you're at your lowest point, I'll be there to say, where's my money? That's a heartless government, for one, but for two, it's a stupid one. Because like I just said, what are you doing? Threatening them with nothing? That's nothing. They don't, yeah, I'm not going to give you your $1,500 a month. Well, my rent is $5,000 a month. I can't pay it anyways. You wasn't helping me anyways. Keep it. I'm sorry, United States of America entity. The entity called the United States of America. I'm sorry for how you feel, baby. But you did this one to yourself because you don't know how to invest. You don't know anything about anything. And you're walking around like, it's just, sorry, but you just learned how normal people have to learn when they start investing, that sometimes there's a risk to investment. You just lost. Sorry, them's the breaks. That's how it works. You don't know how to do something, you're probably going to break something. I'm sorry, but you just going to have to chalk it up to experience. What are you going to do to these people? We don't have debtors' prisons in America. You can't even threaten them with imprisonment. You can't conscript them unless you just going to do some more stupid mess. You can't do nothing. You can threaten their Social Security. You can go to garnish their wages. But guess what? To garnish a wage, someone has to have that wage first. And I'm not sure, and I know you bend the rules, but let's talk about it from this angle. I'm not sure, but I believe that there's laws. I believe, because I've heard people talk, I don't know. But I'm led to believe that there's only a percentage you can garnish from a paycheck, my friend. That's laws that you passed. That the politicians that are there, they didn't pass it. People in a better time passed better laws because they were better stock. All right? The same generation, and I'm not making this generational, but it's a fact. The same generation that set up lemonade stands in front of their houses as children, and the whole community came out to support them and encourage capitalism and encourage purity and learning and success. That same generation that benefited from that psychological boost, that mental boost, and those opportunities, they turned around and made laws that kids can't put up lemonade stands in front of their house no more without paperwork. They made laws that said kids can't practice what we practiced without paperwork and this and that, to the point nobody tries to teach it to their kids. No normal people are teaching it to their kids. Their kids aren't learning how to be self-sufficient entrepreneur types who can do for themselves. Instead, they don't know what to do because there's so many laws that dictate how to do it or what you can do that people just genuinely are like, it ain't worth the risk. And they don't even try. I'm sorry, America, but everybody in this world, and governments are made up of people. And not us. It used to say we the people. It's we the politicians now. But everybody generates energy. And in that energy is karma. And it may not happen overnight. Usually it doesn't. But if you keep doing it, eventually, universe or God or whatever it may be is going to watch you and find you to be grotesque, and it's going to punish you. You don't have to lift a finger, because as it says, God will kneel your enemies before your feet without you even lifting a finger. They will be as a footstool to you. And so it's just like, look, guys, I mean, America's about to enter very bad times. Partly because it's broke. But it's probably growing pains. I mean, you think this is the first country that had a full-on economic collapse? Every country on this planet had these problems. They recovered at some point where they became stable enough for people to live again in peace. It's a growing pain thing. America about to learn humility. And when I say America, I'm not saying all the people of America. I'm saying the ones that masquerade as the representation of America, the government, so to speak, of America. Politicians, representatives, congressmen, senators, all of that. I focus on the essence of things, the mechanical aspects of it, the practical side effects. I can't tell you any of their names personally. I can't tell you everything their bill says. But I understand how it works. And that's all you really need to do to become immune to the bullshittery. You just have to know how something works. You ain't got to know every detail. You just got to common sense. It's common sense. So that's really all I got to say, America. I really hope that you make this a painless growing experience, because, God, everybody's already on the edge. We can't take, I don't know. We can't take. Because while I'm in this form and in this body, I'm an American at this moment. We can't take no more of these stresses, all right? I mean, I don't know, you got an investment. You lost it. It's over. Any fool can see that, because people cannot pay that student loan back because the jobs that they should have been able to get with that education, they ain't there. They ain't there. They gone. And we can sit here and we can be the servant of the master, the market, and we can make excuses for it. But here's the fact. Your investment gone. You just invested billions, if not more, on student loans. And I'm pretty sure you were told countless times by people who understood economics. You got no business there because you don't know what you're doing. But you did it anyway. So sorry. The best thing you can do right now is change your perspective, America. Your perspective needs to shift from money, economic force, power. You need to take a damn tranquilizer or a chill pill, baby, because life's too short to go around trying to put chains on other things that you want to control. That's 100% ego. Ego on a country scale. Of course, it is a country, so oh boy, ego. Names are for objects. Ideas and names, concepts, they're for concepts, ideas, objects, and forms. They ain't for what is beyond words, what is formless, what is timeless. So, I'm going to close out this video. Sorry about that it disconnected, but that's how it is. Sorry, America, you lost your investment. You gambled, you invested. There's risk to investment. You lost, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. You can throw your temper tantrum, you can hold people hostage, and you can yell as loud as you want. You can insult people, and you can do whatever you want, but it ain't going to bring your investment back. It's gone. You set it on fire because you And then simultaneously, you did it to yourself. You say, I'm going to give all this tax breaks to these billionaires, no strings attached, to the corporations and the economic, the business folks. I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to give them all the tax money. Well, yeah, that was all they were about, baby. They weren't your friend. They were never your friend. They wanted what you had. America, listen to me. Change your perspective. Don't become wounded. Become wise. Because when you stump your toe, it's normal to grab it and yell and say, I hate this stupid bed. I hate this stupid corner. This house made me stump my toe. But when you calm down, become wise. Become wise. Learn from your mistake. Either become a better investor or stop. Become better at what you're doing or you're going to keep messing it up. So guys, I hope you have a great day. And I hope you lay off all those black pills. And I hope you lay off all those red pills. And I hope you just absolutely throw the blue pills in the garbage. In fact, throw all the pills in the garbage. Learn how to be. And in harmony, you will then see that all you need is to be. Because that is what it means to be free. I hope everything goes your way, baby. It's a beautiful day. Go outside and stand in the sun. Because you part of this circuit called life and earth. And if you want life abundant and you want more life, go out there and blend into it. Become one with it. May everything go your way. And may you see both blessings and curses. And may you see the fantastic that is beyond normal eyes. May you see it through spiritual sight. May you awaken to realize that everything is both pointless and pointed. I hope everything goes your way. Have a good day.